Hi, in this video we're going to show you how to put together the military fatigue hat SVG design from Simply Crafty SVGs. So what I'm starting with first is just adding panels to the little pieces that will make up the side of the hat. It's just easier to do it when it's flat. And there are 4 pieces that have holes in them, so there's 4 panels that have holes in them. So that'll be for what the grommets, there's little grommet pieces in the side of the hat. And we have little panels or little pieces that'll go around those holes as well to make it look like a little grommet. Or you could actually use an eyelet. So we just want to apply those first. You want to center them. It's more important for the pieces that have the hole. So you want to make sure that that opening on the panel is centered on the hole, around the hole, and then just continue to put, as you're putting them on, I also fold the pieces on the score lines to get them ready to assemble. And you can just continue to watch this. I've sped it up just a little bit. After we have all those pieces scored and those big panels put on, we're going to put these little circle, they represent grommets on the hat. So I'm using my little fine tip applicator. Be careful with the glue. I can just use my finger, and I'm using a towel on the side to wipe my finger on after that. Get the glue off. Make sure you keep your glue free of your fingers free of glue. Or you could use a grommet, not a grommet, an actual eyelet. I selected just to show you how to put these little pieces on. But it would be fun if it were more dimensional with a kind of a metal piece. Now once we have all these on, it'll be ready to assemble the sides of the hat. I'm going in and out of focus, but you can pretty much see what I'm doing. That's what happens when I have to zoom in so much. So now we're going to line them up to make sure they're ready to put on. So you put 4 solids and then 2 with the holes, with the little grommets. So 4, then 4 solids, 2 with the holes, and then 4 solids, and then 2 with the holes. If you go from left to right, if you get them all lined up, and then start assembling. This is all repetitive. It seems like it would take a long time, but it doesn't. So we're going to add glue to these little side tabs here. I'm going to take the second piece and line it up. I start at the bottom, line up that right piece edge to the tab fold on the left, and then you kind of have to gently fold it as you line up the next two tabs. Do you see that there's a slight bend? Then we'll continue to do that with all the pieces. So there's 12 total. Normally I don't do that many, but with this one I didn't want to do it round for a certain reason because it might have been harder to put together, but I wanted it to have a round look still and still be easy to put together. One thing that I was conscious of when I was putting these boxes together, that I had a feeling there would be a lot more people that would be interested in military design, so I wanted to make sure that it was a little simpler, to keep it a little simpler than some of my other 3D designs with a lot of curves. So we'll just keep on adding the panels until it's closed, but the biggest issue that you want to make sure is that you put them in order. Again, 4 solids and then 2 with the holes and then 4 solids, and that's why I line it up before. So you can go ahead and continue watching me put together the rest of the panels. So here we are, we're on the last panel. So when you get to that last one, you're just going to add glue to the tab just like we have been. And then it's pretty easy because you can lift in from the top and bottom and line it up. It's always that little angled part that was always going to be the challenge. So once we have the sides done, we're going to put that top panel on. There's going to be 2 panels, one that goes on the inside and one on the outside. First we're going to do the one on the inside. So the one on the outside is obviously the one with camouflage paper. So it's up to you. It depends on how comfortable you are with your glue. You see how it's going to go in. I would suggest putting the non-textured side down if you're using textured paper like I am. we're just going to add glue to all these tabs, and be mindful of your glue because you may not be able to, you have to do it pretty quickly if you have fast drying glue. So I'm using art glitter glue for this right now. It does dry fast, but if you can get it in there fairly quickly, it'll work. You can do it all at once. So I'm going to just set it in and make sure that the sections line up. It's in there so it fits properly, and I'm going to start with one tab, making sure the edges are aligned with the inside tab folds, and go around and apply pressure on each of the tabs. If you wanted to not do them all at once, you could do half and then flip it over and add glue to the tabs on the other side. So you don't have to do them all at once. It just makes it easier if you could do it all at once. And then we just situate that in the shape on the top and glue that on. I'm going to get my Scotch quick dry. I want a little bit more glue for this. I did, this is cardstock. It's a digital paper I utilized. So it is, I printed it actually on a white cardstock, and they had different, I'll put a link down where I found this if you're interested. And then once we put the panel on, I flip it over and apply pressure against the panel that way. It just makes it easier for me once you have it lined up on the top. It wasn't perfect on the top, but close enough. Since I did print it out, I did ink all the edges best I could with some chalk ink too. So now we're going to add the little brim, or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to curl it a little bit, and you can see I've already folded the tabs on the scores. The only tabs that are a little bit fragile are the end ones, those little ones. So just be really careful when you score those. I'm scoring them down and then up because it'll glue. Tabs have to actually glue up inside the hat. So I'm just gently folding them down and then up. So I fold them down because that's the natural score, and then fold them up because I still do want the texture on top, even though I have another panel. So when you put this on, note those 2 grommets and the 4. Choose which 4 panels are going to be the front. And there's 4 full tabs that go on the solid panel sections, and then that little almost half a tab will go on the grommet pieces on each side of the hat. So I'm just making sure it's curled to get that rim feel. Then when I'm ready, I would just glue one tab, anchor it. So I'm choosing this one. So you add glue on the front, and you'll just line it up in the section. You can see I had to make sure I line in the first full tab from the left. So I'm going to have to put it on underneath a panel with a full panel without a grommet. And then you can see once it's attached, that little piece is on the first grommet. I hope that's making sense. If you're watching it, you kind of can understand it. Most people don't even listen to me, so if you're listening to me, I'm sorry. So you can fold up the tab and add glue that way. The hardest tabs that they're going to be to apply are these little side tabs. So just gently do them, hold them in place, and then we'll add the rest of the tabs. Now once the tabs are in place, so I'm just kind of folding the tabs back to add glue. Once the tabs are in place, you can just make sure that everything looks good, and you'll see me adjusting it after. So I'm just reaching in to add glue on the back side of these tabs. And I'm going to start on the other side. So I'm doing the other side first, and then each tab separately. So I'm making sure that the edge of that top piece lines up to the tab fold on the I'm going to call it the brim of the hat, or duckbill, whatever you want to call it. And then that last little piece, which is the only really fussy piece I think on this thing. You see it kind of bends a little bit on the sides, but I kind of go through and just rub it lightly. You don't have to do a lot, just to get the look so it looks more like a hat. Then I want to add this panel first because it could make it harder to curl. So I'm just going to curl it on its own and then center it best I can. And you can tell on the hat there's a rigid, of course, because we have score lines on the side. I made this round, but so you want to just make sure that the edge is even on the front edge. And it really doesn't matter. You could go further back or right to the edge if you really want to do with this, but I did make it so you have a little edge around that panel. More so towards the hat, but that'll be covered when we put the little panel around the actual hat. And this is the piece. It's going to start on the edge of the first grommet on one side and then end on the other grommet piece. So what we're going to do is just add glue to one side first and line it up on the left edge of the first piece with the hole. I keep on calling it a grommet, but pretty much I think that's what it's called in the hat. And you're not adding any more glue except for the other side. Because it's rounded, it's not going to glue in any other place. So you add glue there and then add glue on the other side and line it up to the back seam of the second, the opposite side piece with the hole. And then you'll do the same thing to put the strip on the back. So it kind of looks like the little piece. I understand that that piece is utilized for putting things in a hat. So there is a purpose to that. I never knew that. Somebody told me that. Interesting. And then you can just, after you put this on, you can add your own sentiment. Now, the sentiment that's in the picture is not included. That is a Cricut image. And if you do have a Cricut, I will add that. But I customized it. But I figured people are going to put whatever they want to on the front. So I didn't include anything specific. So you could always stick it in there. You see you can slide things or you can attach it. So it's up to you how you want to do it. But I think attaching it's better. So I just got a couple glue dots and added it to the back of it to attach it. So again, add your own sentiment, or if you want to have an army or any kind of logo, you could add it to the front as well. And then you could either just do the hat, or we do have a box that you can make that fits, that'll fit on. So I'll just show you how to put that box together. It's way simpler than the hat. So we're going to put the hat aside. And then we'll fold the side pieces of the box on the score lines. So this is just a simple box to add a little small gift if that's something you choose to do. I just wanted to give you the option. So we're going to add glue to that side tab and then line up the edge of the other piece to the tab fold. Apply pressure, and then we'll flip over and glue that last piece. Again, it's a 12-sided box to correspond to the hat. Then we're going to fold in the tabs. So the quick way I like to do boxes like this is to add glue to all the tabs. If you want to do half the tabs, you can too, and then if your glue dries too quickly for you, you might want to just do half the tabs and then apply pressure, as I'll show you in a minute, and then flip over and do the other half. But I'm going to add glue to all of them. And then I'm going to place, I have a textured paper, so I'm going to place the non-textured side down. And then I'm going to line up the edges to the inside tab folds and apply pressure as I go around, making sure that I'm pushing in the sides to make sure they're lined up. So the panel's lined up to the inside tab fold of all those tabs. And it makes it really easy to put those together. And then that bottom tab is, the bottom panel, I'm sorry, is to cover those bottom tabs if you don't want them to be seen. I have the cut file set up for that, but it's up to you whether you want to use it. It'll cut out by default, so. And then just line it up for the sections, and then I just kind of go around the edge once it's lined up to my liking, and then flip it over and apply pressure from within. And again, this is an optional piece. If you choose just to do the hat, that's something you might want to do. See, the hat fits right over it. And then here it is with the tag on. I didn't really apply the tag yet. So depending on what you choose to make for that front piece, if anything, you might even add something to the top. You can add whatever you want. And then I'll finish the box. Or the hat, I should say. Well, thank you for watching. I really enjoyed this project, and I hope you do too.